All right, we're back with some more keywords and concepts. This looks a little bit probably more normal to everybody, more like our regular slides. Here are just some good old-fashioned keywords. First one's going to be socialization, which makes sense given that that's the whole chapter. That's the process wherein people come to understand societal norms, expectations, to accept society's beliefs, and be aware of societal values. It's a long process. It takes us many, many, many years and many, many, many people. It really does take a village. But we'll talk more about that, much, much more about that this week. We also have in this section nature versus nurture. So this is the influence of our genetic makeup on self-development. That's nature, right? Straight up genes versus the role that our social environment plays in self-development. That's nurture, right? So when we talk about nature versus nurture, the assumption that two parents who are artistic, who have a child, if they had teachers assuming that that child was also going to be artistic, they're basing that assumption on a nature view, right? They're saying, oh, clearly, genetically, you should be good at art. Or maybe they're basing that on a nurture view. They're saying, well, you were raised by artists. So they would have inculcated a love of art into you as you grew. So that's the nature versus nurture. And we're always going to be having this discussion because it's really hard to tell what's wired in humanity and what we learn as social cultural creatures. We really can't separate those things. So we'd like to have these debates, but it's actually very hard to do. They're not really opposite sides of a coin. We also have different kinds of socialization. So we have things like anticipatory socialization, which all of you are doing right this very instant. This is the way that we prepare for future life roles. Best example of anticipatory socialization is school. K through 12 is anticipatory socialization. College is most assuredly anticipatory socialization because we're learning a profession. We're learning skills that we're going to take out into the wider world. Speaking of the wider world, when we do that, when we move into the wider world, often we have to re-socialize ourselves or be re-socialized. And this is the process by which old behaviors are removed and new behaviors are learned in their place. Possibly the biggest one that you guys will encounter soon or have already encountered is probably the shift between high school and college. That can be a bit of an adjustment. The adjustment between college and the work world is also going to be one heck of an adjustment. All of a sudden, you're having to get up every morning, early in the morning, go to work, do all the stuff. It's very different, right? So you're going to have to learn new ways to do this, the new culture, the new rules for everything. How does this school work as opposed to this? How does my new workplace work? Re-socialization. So we're constantly undergoing these processes. An incredibly important part of socialization for anybody are peer groups. And these are our social environments in self-development. So peer groups can be things like your actual peers. So people your own age that you grow up with, but these can also be groups like within school, within family, within religion, within economic status. This can be huge. Often when we're talking about it in terms of sociology and we're talking about peer groups, we're talking about people your own age that you're socializing with, but this can really cover lots of things. And then the last keyword concept from this section that we need to pay attention to is the idea of a degradation ceremony. And we'll get a little bit more into this in the next couple of weeks when we get into crime and deviance. But this is the process by which new members of a total institution lose aspects of their old identities and are given new ones. Now, I don't have a total institution on here because we won't be talking about that a lot, and it's not nearly as important as this. But a total institution is one that controls your life totally. So total institutions are things like the military. Total institutions are also things like prisons. Lots of different things. Anything where somebody else is going to have a great deal of say over when you do things, how you do things, all of that. That is a total institution. So when we talk about a degradation ceremony, kind of losing aspect of your old identity and get new ones, the classic example of that would be boot camp. When you can go to the military, you have to go to boot camp. And boot camp is literally designed to beat down the original person you were and then build you up in the image of a soldier. And that's what we need in our military. There's lots of studies on this and how it works. It's important for social cohesion within our military, all that kind of thing. But then on the complete opposite end, you also have a form of degradation ceremony when people go to prison. So when you go to prison, when you get arrested and you're taken into prison, you lose all your clothes. You're photographed. You're put into a new uniform. You're given a number, right? Old identity stripped away, and then you're given a new identity. So these are the various ways that we go through concepts and ideas of socialization, re-socialization, how we socialize. Is it nature? Is it nurture? Is it genetics? Is it this? We're all still trying to figure it out, is really what this chapter is really getting to tell you. All right, that's all the keywords and concepts. I'll be up in a little bit to go over theoretical perspectives.